Hi, I'm Skinny Cheeks. We just had the ESO live stream for the dungeon preview for Update 37, Scribes of Fate. Lead encounter designer Mike Finnegan walked us through the 2 new dungeons. I'll have a link to the VoD in the description if you want to check that out, but the goal of this video here that you are watching is to sum up all of the new info that we got along the way in that stream. So we'll cover all of the new gear sets that were teased, as well as the new base game and quality of life updates coming with Update 37. So to start off, let's talk about the monster sets. And thanks to ESOsets.com for having these up already. Looks a bit better than those pixelated screenshots being gathered from the live stream. First up is Ozezon the Inferno. This has Magica Recovery on the 1 piece, then the 2 pieces overhealing yourself or an ally grants them 4272 armor for 1 second. Healing yourself or an ally grants them minor vitality for 1 second, increasing their healing received by 8%. This set seems really good. One of my favorites that we'll go through for sure. 4272 armor is the equivalent of about 6.5% damage reduction, so each time you get a heal that overheals, that armor is the effect that you'll get. Then you'll get the extra healing received whenever you are not at full health. Really interesting idea, I think. You might say the 1 second period looks a bit short, but that shouldn't be an issue with proper healing abilities running. I can see this being used in all kinds of different scenarios, but definitely a very nice set to help with survival. The next monster set is Roxa the Warped. The 1 piece adds Stamina, Magica, and Health Recovery, and then the 2 pieces, each second you're in combat, you gain a stack of Dark Light, up to 30 stacks max. Each stack of Dark Light increases your Stamina, Magica, and Health Recovery by 8. Each second you're out of combat, you lose a stack of Dark Light. So this one is pretty cool too. It kind of works similarly to the Death Dealer's Fate mythic item, except this builds up your recoveries instead of your max resources. And it's nice because at the beginning of the fight going in, you probably don't need all that recovery too much yet because you're full on the resources. So once the fight goes on for a bit, then you start dipping down, then you will have built up that recovery. The 2-piece bonus on this stacks up to 30 times, so that is 240 recovery there after 30 seconds of combat, plus the 70 that you get from the 1 piece, which makes a total of 310 health, magica, and stamina recovery. Seems pretty solid for a 2-piece set. I think it's likely more useful in PvP situations, but I'm sure people will find uses for it in many different types of gameplay. Next up is Rune Carver's Blaze. This appears to be a light armor set. It gives weapon and spell damage, penetration, and then your damage over time effects deal an additional 1106 flame damage on the 3rd damage tick. This damage scales off your weapon or spell damage and always applies the burning status effect. So the wording on this set is a little strange. I'm not sure exactly how it functions. Does it mean that the 3rd tick and only the 3rd tick of my damage over time abilities I cast will get this extra flame damage? Or is it trying to say that every 3rd tick of my damage over time abilities will have this added? So this is one we'll have to take a look at on the PTS. I just don't quite understand how this is functioning exactly, but either way, it looks like a ton of extra burning uptime and should synergize very well with builds that have a lot of dots going. So if it is looking good on the PTS, I'll definitely make sure and keep you guys updated. The next light set is Right Master's Bond. The 2 pieces mag recovery, then healing done, then max magica, then the 5 pieces healing an ally within 12 meters with a direct heal creates a 15-meter tether between you for 10 seconds. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. You and allies touching the tether are healed for 2005 health every second, scaling off the higher of your max magica or stamina. If you or an ally is overhealed by the tether, they gain minor heroism for 1.5 seconds. The heal over time seems fairly decent, though the tooltips are still up in the air for the exact amounts until we can actually look at them on the PTS. And then the minor heroism is a nice buff as well. The problem is the uptime. Not only does it require the tether to be touching your allies, but that minor heroism buff is fairly short, so they need to be continuously hit with the tether to keep that part of it rolling. And even then, there is a forced 5 seconds of downtime after the tether expires. So it's an interesting concept for sure, but I don't see it being squeezed into organized group play as it is right now. Maybe some niche uses here and there though. Next up is a medium set, Apocryphal Inspiration. This has crit chance, stamina recovery, and weapon and spell damage. And then for the 5-piece bonus, you and group members within 28 meters of you gain major fortitude, major intellect, and major endurance, increasing your health, magica, and stamina recovery by 30%. So on first glance, this might seem kind of interesting. 30% is a lot, but unfortunately, these are just the same buffs you get from your potions, and it won't stack. For PvE use, I just don't see this being a thing. There are too many other good sets. Maybe for PvP groups since the potions that are used are a bit more diverse and you might be lacking more of these buffs, but I'm not sure I'm super impressed with this one. I love the idea of them introducing another medium armor support set, as we don't have as many of those as we do light armor ones, but this just isn't too impressive to me. Next up is another medium armor set. This one is Nyx Hound's Howl. This adds all weapon and spell damage for the 2 to 4 piece bonuses, and then the 5 piece is completing a fully charged heavy attack, applies major cowardice to the target for 1 second per 1000 weapon damage you have, lowering their weapon and spell damage by 430. You then gain major courage for the same duration, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 430. That's just a typo there. These are both supposed to be 430. This effect can occur once every 12 seconds. So the concept behind this set I think is okay, but again the problem is the uptime. Even if you managed 8,000 weapon damage, that would only be 8 seconds on this, which is 2/3 uptime, about 66%. And that major courage you gain, it's not even a group-wide buff, it's only for you. So for organized group play, this is definitely out. Not only do we already get major courage reliably, but the major cowardice can be provided by a Nightblade with mass hysteria. For solo play, this is definitely a little bit more interesting, especially for a heavy attack setup, since you not only gain the weapon and spell damage, but you debuff the target so they won't hit you as hard. The problem is that uptime though. Solo, you will have much lower weapon damage than you would in organized group play, so even if you manage to get up to like 6,000, that would still only be 50% uptime on this. Again, I love the idea of another support-based set being medium, but I think this one just misses the mark as well. Next up is the heavy set Telvanni Enforcer. This gives stamina, health, and magicka, and then while bracing, increase your magicka recovery by 369. While you're not bracing, increase your stamina recovery by 369. This one is pretty simple and to the point. While you're blocking, you don't get stamina recovery anyways, so they give you a stat that you can actually benefit from. And then if you let off block, your stam will come back at an increased rate. Seems like a solid set, but again, there are so many good tanking sets at this point, I don't really see it having much of a place in PvE use other than a set to learn with until you get something a little stronger. Although there are probably more supportive options early on if you want to go that route as well. The next heavy set is Abyssal Brace. This gives stamina, max health, and then the 5-piece has even more max health, but also while you are bracing, you and group members within 12 meters of you gain minor evasion, reducing damage from area attacks by 10%. So 12 meters is a fairly large radius, and minor evasion is a very rare buff coming only from the Warden ability Deceptive Predator. So I think this set is definitely a welcome addition. Really easy proc condition, just need the wearer to be blocking, and everyone in that radius has 10% more damage reduction for AoEs. Combine this with major evasion, which is pretty commonly gained from Deadly Cloak, and you're looking at 30% damage reduction to AoEs. This is massive and could really help out in some scenarios for prog groups looking to get some help with the incoming damage levels. And the wearer also benefits from this buff and gets a little bit of extra health on that 5-piece bonus as well. So always nice as a tank when you get to provide a buff to your teammates, but also have a 5-piece bonus that benefits you too. All right, for these next two sets, I'm not sure if these were supposed to be shown or not, but I believe they are actually two of the rewards for the worthy sets coming. The way they are set up just screams PvP and the types of sets we've gotten recently there. First up is a light armor set called Snake in the Stars. It has mag recovery, max magicka, weapon and spell damage, and then applying a major or minor debuff to an enemy applies star venom to them for 6 seconds. This effect can occur once every 12 seconds. Whenever an enemy with star venom is healed, they take 2848 Daedric damage up to once per second. An enemy can only be affected by 1 instance of star venom at a time. So only 50% max uptime, but seems really trolly to have a dot that counters someone trying to heal themselves. It looks pretty effective from what I can tell. The weird thing though is the naming, Daedric damage. I'm assuming this is Oblivion damage, which is essentially true damage that can't be boosted or mitigated. I'm not sure though, maybe this is something new that is being introduced. Either way, this looks pretty strong to have ticks that high coming in that can't be mitigated while you're trying to heal. Then for the medium set Shell Splitter, we have penetration, and more penetration. And then when an enemy blocks one of your attacks, increase your penetration by 631 for 5 seconds. This effect can stack up to 20 times. You can gain 1 stack every half of a second. So 12,620 penetration on the 5-piece bonus at the full 20 stacks, plus all the extra from your 2 to 4-piece bonuses as well. This PvP set has permablock tank killer written all over it. If someone wants to just stand there and hold block, they are going to be buffing the hell out of you. And since you are gaining penetration, you can use this stored up pen on any enemy. It isn't just against the one that's blocking you. So in AoE scenarios, you may be hitting multiple people that are blocking, and you could build up your stacks fairly quickly. Now, it would be pretty tough, I'm guessing, to reliably get to that 20 stack point with the 5-second timer, but even at only half of that, at 10 stacks, it's still over 6k pen from the 5-piece bonus. And then even half of that, at 5 stacks, we're still over 3k penetration. So the stats definitely seem pretty solid, even if you aren't getting all the way up to the high end. The main issue is fighting people who really aren't blocking or are intelligently tapping block just for your heavy hits. You're gonna essentially have a dud for a 5-piece bonus. So it looks interesting for sure, but we'll see how this one ends up fitting into the PvP meta. Now that was only 2 sets. I didn't see the heavy one. I think we should have one more 5-piece set to go through, so I'll make sure to cover that in the patch note review on Monday. If you are new here, first off, welcome in and thanks for watching. And second, I do always do a super thorough patch note review for the new updates on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/skinnycheeks. So as soon as those are live on Monday, January 30th, I'll be doing a deep dive into them. But that's it for the new sets that we saw. We did also see a new skin from the dungeon. It is Periite themed. I don't know how spoilery that is, but we'll see, I guess. I think this is one of the rewards for doing one of the dungeons on Veteran. And then we also have a Memento, and I think this may be the reward for the other dungeon on Vet. The skin looked pretty cool, but I'm not sure how excited I am for the Memento. But on top of that, we also have some nice quality of life and base game updates coming as well. I wasn't expecting to see any info on this until the patch notes, but we got a little bit here. For the housing section, I'll let Gina, the senior community manager, take this because she gets through it pretty quickly and efficiently.
There are going to be additional filters to the placement and retrieval tabs in the housing editor. You'll be able to quickly reset training dummies while in combat with just one button, so it'll be really easy just to kind of restart everything. All of the home's current occupants are going to be listed in the settings section in the housing editor. You can also kick occupants out of your home in that same menu if maybe they've just like overstayed their welcome. It's time for them to go. The home's occupants are going to be notified when people enter or depart the home, which is pretty helpful. You're going to be able to hide the house tracker when in a home. So when previewing a home, if you put your target reticle over a furnishing, it'll outline the furnishing and display its name. So just kind of a nice little handy thing. And then the purchase dialogue, the purchase options dialogue for a home is going to allow you to preview the full list of furnishings in that currently selected template.
And then for the 3 rewards for the worthy sets, we went through a couple of these earlier, but we'll see that last one when the patch notes hit. And then for the new Alliance emblem face markings, they didn't actually show these, but they did say that they will come from new PvP achievements. So I imagine they will each represent one of the 3 alliances. And then we have the daily, weekly reset timer updates. They didn't really give any specifics on this, but just said that they are trying to line up all of the different daily resets on the same timers and that we'd have more info in the patch notes. Next up is screen narration. I'll let Jessica Folsom, the lead community manager, take this one.
And then we're adding a new accessibility option called Screen Narration. Most UI screens will be fully narrated in all official languages, and you do have to have accessibility mode turned on to access this.
And then this next one, I think Gina made what seemed to be the biggest announcement of the entire stream. There will be an item that lets you hide your shoulders. The chat just went nuts when she started talking about this one. Essentially, it looks like the Impresario will have an item starting with the Jesters Festival that lets you hide your shoulders. She said it won't be there just for special events though. After the Jesters Festival is over, it will be permanently available through the Impresario's assistant. So you don't have to worry about only getting it from special events. So pretty cool. I know a know a lot of people are really looking forward to one day being able to hide your shoulders, so that's going to be here in just a few months. And then the final update we received is that there is going to be a new house. This one is in Northern High Isle and called Fog Break Lighthouse. It's pretty cool looking. I won't be doing the tour here in this video, but I did link the VoD in the description, and it's about the 1 hour and 14 minute mark if you're interested in checking that out. Overall though, quite a bit more than I expected to get from this live stream. Really enjoyed watching it as usual, and glad they took the time to share it all with us. Another reminder, on Monday, January 30th, I will be live streaming the patch notes over on Twitch, so make sure to stop by if you want to go through those with me. It's always a lot of fun, and I'll be running the new dungeons right after we're done with the patch notes. So if you want to check those out, we'll be seeing it all for the first time and trying to figure out all of the mechanics. And of course, I will post a patch note summary here on YouTube with all of the important details, most likely around midweek next week. But thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think about the new sets and the new base game updates that we're getting. Big thanks to my current Patreon supporters and YouTube members. The contributions help a ton to keep the website and YouTube channel going. And a special thanks to Nicholas, Simon, Cougar is Bait, and the Cougar City Guild, the Order of War Guild, Cantankerous Cat, Shady, Iffy, Blake1816, Mordecai1212, Santanico, Vidridi, Florian, Phoenix, Nalandia, Unemployed, Chryseliana, Cha-Cha, and Technical KO. Thanks again for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.